Maimer Hay. We're learning that everything that happens on Erev Shabbos is L'Kavod Shabbos, and therefore the Brias Adam that was on Erev Shabbos is L'Kavod Shabbos. The person was created L'Kavod Shabbos, and we understand it well because the Adam is created in order to be Masaken, the Bria. And Masaken, the Bria, means that you're taking everything that Hashem created in the Sheshes Yemei Bereishis, the 6 days. That was everything was created until Erev Shabbos. And you're doing a tikkun on those things, meaning tikkun, let's just not lose the basic translation. Tikkun means that we're using everything, all the raw material of the Bria, for the purpose of which it was intended. The whole Brias Ha'olam, the whole purpose of the world is not just there should be a world, but that there should be a Dira L'Tachtonim. Apparently God doesn't need another world. He wants a Dira L'Tachtonim. And it becomes the job of an Adam. We're like Malachim here. We have a job. We might think our job is something else, but the job that we have, the Torah, this is probably one of the most basic things in the Torah, is that our purpose in this world, nothing less than our purpose in this world, is to be Masaken the Bria. How are we Masaken the Bria? So everybody has a different Tachlis, everybody has a different Koach, everybody has Taryag Mitzvahs. Jews have one Koach, non-Jews have another Koach, Kohanim have one Koach, B'liim have another koach, men have one koach, women have another koach, but it's all tzarech, taking that which came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and being Masaken the Bria. One has a koach in music, maybe that's his tikkun. One is a gardener, maybe that's his tikkun. One's a Talmud Chacham and a posek, so you're bringing halacha l'maaseh, chashuv. You know, whatever it is a different discussion as to how. For that you have to see Reb David here. How do you find out exactly what your tikkun is? But the point is that we're all Erev Shabbos Yidden. I'm always have in my mind something that everybody says over from Reb Soloveitchik, meaning he said it often. Olav Shalom. He said that somehow or another, like with the with the movements of Torah and yeshivas and Orthodox shuls, and that was created in America. He's talking about America. Somehow or another, the Shabbos we got Shabbos back. He says, but we still haven't gotten back the Erev Shabbos. He speaks about, his memory of Erev Shabbos had a kedusha bifnei atzma. Erev Shabbos, the running around of Erev Shabbos, the makom. So Erev Shabbos is Mishalai Torach be'erev Shabbos, ma yochal b'Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is not only a hachana for Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is masha b'fnei atzmo. That's like a higher madrega to understand Erev Shabbos. On the big global level, Reb Tzadok teaches us we're not talking only about our personal Fridays, but we're talking about so like Friday isn't Friday anymore. Right? Friday should be something special. We're talking about the Elef HaShishi. The Elef HaShishi is the Elef HaShishi before Shabbos. It's the millennium. The millennium that we're in is called the Elef HaShishi. Meaning, this is the Elef HaShishi, from 0 to 1,000 is 1. This is the Elef HaShishi. Elef HaShishi is the Erev Shabbos of the Yom Shekulei Shabbos U'Menucha L'Chayu Olam. So the Erev Shabbos, in a big way, in a global way, in a macro way, the whole millennium is an Erev Shabbos. And everything that's going on in the Erev Shabbos is L'Kavod Shabbos Kodesh. More so than Thursday, more so than Tuesday. Whatever is going on. Now, what's going on? That's something we need to figure out. But whatever is going on, the Yesodus, whatever is going on in the Elef Shishi is going on in Erev Shabbos. So we have the micro Erev Shabbos and the macro Erev Shabbos, the personal Erev Shabbos and the global Erev Shabbos that we're zocha to live in. It's not easy. Erev Shabbos is not an easy time, by the way. No, not for individuals and not on a global level. It's not an easy time. The Arizal says that it's a makam mesugel for machlokes Erev Shabbos, particularly before Chatzos. Chassidim leave the house. The men leave the house. Shouldn't be machlokes.
Take the children for a walk.
Right. It's interesting something about Erev Shabbos. Why should it be a makam mesugel for machlokes? Because you're having a clash between kedusha and chol. It's a or v'choshech. There's tension in the air. So it says Rav Tzadok, let's read a couple of words here. Al kol panim, gam habriya de Erev Shabbos, the bria of Erev Shabbos, kulai hachana v'toyrach l'tzerech haShabbos. V'gam lamala be'al yonim came, ba'olam ha'atzilus v'anefashos. Shehem misham yesh hergish or the Shabbos gam be'erev Shabbos. The kedusha, the mixing of Kaddish v'chol is on Erev Shabbos. Yesh hergish or the Shabbos gam be'erev Shabbos, and even in Shemayim there's a regesh of or the light of Shabbos. The creation is coming to a close. Like everything, this has to be coming from Shemayim, because if it doesn't come from Shemayim, where are we going to get it from? And we need to get this hergish of Erev Shabbos so that we know that this is the time of Tikkun, that there's no other time of Tikkun like the time that we're in. And l'chayra, the closer you get to Shabbos, the bigger the Tikkun is. We learned earlier at the beginning of the Brit Tzaddik that the Itoy Achishena is the pshat that a person could be makabel Shabbos early. Mashiach could come early too. But that really doesn't happen automatically. Shabbos that happens automatically happens at Shkia. Shabbos that comes early never comes early automatically. Shabbos that comes early is the pshat that we're making Shabbos come early. So Mashiach that comes early, Yom Shekula, Shabbos, and Menucha, Mashiach comes on time, is a Mashiach which comes automatically. It's not going to. It can't be longer than 6,000 years, which is, by the way, not necessarily good news, because at that point it's ready or not. Here I come, and if you're not ready, not necessarily part of that situation. You're probably not necessarily part of that geula. The world has a geula, but doesn't mean we have a geula. But there is an inyan of possibly being maktim Mashiach. So that's be'itoy, achishena. Achishena is my loss, my achishena.
What do we miss out on by not being actively the ones who bring it? Like if it's automatic,
we're not necessarily. If it's automatic, we're not necessarily part of it. First of all,
what is that?
You miss the other way too, by the way. Like if we do bring it, it becomes the Rav Tzadok taught that it becomes the time of teva. Meaning the steers in Chazal between Ein Ben Yemaisa Mashiach, Lo Olam Hazeh, Ein Ben Olam Hazeh Yemaisa Mashiach, no big miracles happening in Geula days. That's talking about Achishena. It's a shtickle chol. It's still light outside, but Elishibud Malchias, there will be peace. I said yesterday the Goin says that in the bracha of Yehuda, there's every single letter in the Aleph base, Yaakov's bracha to Yehuda, except for a Zayin, because in the Zman of Mashiach, there's not going to be any Kli Zayin. No weapons. To learn Chumash like the Goin. Like the Goin learned Chumash. Every letter of the Aleph base is there, except for a Zayin. He's talking, this is bracha to Yehuda with David Malka. Malka Mashiach is going to be without Kli Zayin. So that's already, if we bring it, that's already the case. But the miracles of the Mashiach, the Zman that we really can't even be masik, we have no hasag in it. That's talking about after the 6,000 years.
Why is the tikkun greater as we get closer?
Like Shabbos?
Yeah, I mean,
deadline.
Yeah, so I mean, as you get closer, you're almost finishing up. Just finishing touches. Why?
Maybe in your house.
Well, in general,
I know the tikkun is bigger, maybe I didn't say that, the tikkun is more desperate. In other words, what wasn't Mesukkan has to be Mesukkan. That's what I'm understanding. Not that your tikkun is, not that there's more stuff to do necessarily, but whatever you didn't do, you have to do. So that's very esoteric. What does that mean in terms of Mashiach? What tikkun does it mean? I'll tell you something about it. Let's just go another line or two, because...
What does it mean for us? What can we do?
Okay. The reason why it's Erev Shabbos and Shemayim, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because the Shemayim is the Sarusa de Leila. The Sarusa de Leila is giving us the raw material. What's the Erev Shabbos for? So he says this is a Hergish of Or, that we understand that Shabbos is coming, Mashiach is coming. We understand it with our neshama. Umishamu lamata, now this is really the sentence that I want to try to understand today. Umishamu lamata, sheyesh haschola lemetzias shirish ra. And here's where the fun begins of the tikkun. Let's try to understand this. Not enough people with Sfarim here. Umishamu lamata sheyesh haschola lemetzias shirish ra. Hu ganuz v'nelam v'i efshar liskalos ela b'Shabbos. You have that, Chaim?
no.
Hmm?
No.
Umisham ulamata. I want to understand the words. Misham ulamata. From there, I'll translate. From there and down, yesh haschala lemetzias shirish ra. That's where Ra begins. Ra. We're talking about Mashiach. And the tikkun is dafke in the Ra. Okay, move on. What are you going to be masakin if everything is masakin already? Can't be masakin or. Can't be masakin Ra.
Is that why you have like in all of the birth histories through in the Melech and Mashiach come from these very odd, let's call them odd arrangements?
Okay. Yehuda and Tamar.
Lot.
Lot of Benaisav. I don't know if it's the same thing. Let's concentrate on it for a second. The real pasuk is Yotzer Or V'Orei Choshech Oseh Shalom U'Borei Ra. That's the real pasuk. Just we don't want to get depressed every single morning when we're davening, so we say U'Borei Hakol. The pasuk is Yotzer Or V'Orei Choshech Oseh Shalom U'Borei Ra. We have a Lamois Hatzilus Bria Yitzira Asir Yotzer Or U'Borei Choshech Yitzira Bria Yotzer Or U'Borei Choshech Oseh Shalom Asiya U'Borei Ra. Back to Bria. Atzilus Bria is number 2.
What is the pasuk? Which is the real pasuk?
There's pasuk in Tehillim, but it's based on.
Which one's Atzilus?
There's no Atzilus in this pasuk.
Okay.
Leave Atzilus out of this. Atzilus, the world's work, as you know. Atzilus, Eitzel Hashem, that which is close to Hashem. Abiyah, Atzilus, Bria, where things start to take form. So talking about how the world is created every day. Atzilus, holy, Bria, sort of metaphysical. Yitzira is where things take shape, form, shape. Yitzira. Asiya is the world that we live in. Where do you do the tikkun? Well, if you're a gardener, you do the tikkun in the world of Asiya. If you're a Makubal, you do the tikkun in the world of Bria, where you're taking Choshech and turning it into Or. I recommend gardening. Very complicated to do a tikkun in the world of Bria, but does it Yotzer Or U'Borei Choshech? So it's going up. See, just Agav, that whole pasuk and tefillah doesn't seem right, because we know that Vayihi Erev Vayihi Boker, right? So night comes before day. Night becomes before day. Darkness comes before light. So what's Yotzer Or U'Borei Choshech? What's Hafuch? Yotzer Or U'Borei Choshech. So the pshat is that, pshat yotzer or v'arei choshech is it depends where you're going, where you're coming from. La'anat ha'hoylech, la'anat ha'ba. Where are you going? If you're coming from Shemayim, the Bria, the Yisarus of the Leila, so of course you have Vayi Erev, Vayi Boker. Of course you have Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. So, Yotzer Or Choshech Osa Shalom, Ubore Ra. So Bria is the Ra coming from Shemayim. First comes Ra, closer to Hashem, and then comes Tov. Right. If you're coming from the tikkun that we're making at Tfilah Shacharis, our tikkun, so you're starting from the bottom and you're working your way up. So therefore we say Yotzer or Ubore Choshech. And as a makbil to that, we have Yotzer Or Choshech, Oseh Shalom. If the juxtaposition is Oseh Shalom, Asiya and Bria. So you go from bottom up. That's the way it works that's the way it works from our world. So there's no steer. It just depends what you're looking at. If you're looking at the Kodesh Baruch Hu's Bria, or if you're looking at our Tikkun, or to put it in the words that we've been using, if you're looking at Yisarus de Le'ela, if you're looking at Yisarus de L'Sata. You're on your way down or you're on your way up. We're talking about God, we're talking about us.
Why is the Ra next to Hashem?
Why is the Ra next to Hashem? Anyways, that Vayer Vayiboker, that in the Tikkunim, in the Bria Ha'olam, Ra comes before Tov. Counterintuitive, no? So, Hashem Tov U'Meitiv. So it's the Ra. Ra is over here. Ra is where the criminals live. Ra is an Attica State Prison. Ra is not close to Hashem, but yet you see Yotzer Or, that's here. Ubore Choshech is here. Close right after Atzilus comes Ra. You don't have to be a makubal to ask this question. With respect, it's partial.
Didn't we just say that relates to the whole purpose Hashem made this world? That if it's an Olam Atikun, it's a place where He wants fixing to take place.
So then the Ra should be here.
So you have to. The first thing you have to do is put the Ra there.
Right.
And then you can go start working on it.
Right. So let me say what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Didn't you say in your weekly work that in order to fix ourselves, to do our own personal tikkun, we have to find things that are difficult for us, that are hard for us, that are bad.
Same thing. The tikkun is in the Makom Hara. Right. Okay, but the Rabbi said, I just want to make it clear because we're pretty sophisticated here. We're talking around the subject because Hagufa, Kasha, like how can the Ra be closer to Hashem? So I just have to say that let me put this in Kabbalistic words. I don't know what it means, but the closer you are to the Or Hamakif, there's so much toiv, says the Zohar in Parshas Nayach, that even the Ra can exist. Meaning, like if you're, it works. Meaning that if you're in the world of Chesed, if you're only Chesed with no Gevura, so anybody can do whatever the heck they want. Not a good world to be in necessarily. The Tikkun, like you say, is to put some Gevura into the Chesed. So we're talking, let's move from the Olamais, which are Makbil, to the Spheros. Where you're talking about Chesed comes first. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hoid, very important. Everyone understands everything but Hoid. And then coming down for a landing, Yesod, Malchus. Yisarus de L'Sata going up. This is a little bit more in these concepts maybe, but it's worth it. It's worth it because this is the back room. This is how the world works. So, if we're talking about just Kulei Chesed, of course you have Ra, where there's Chesed. Has to be. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. That's a Gvur Tiferes. Until you have Tiferes, you don't have Kulei Toiv. Yaakov Avinu looked around at his sons before he died. He said, okay, Kulei Toiv. I've reached Tiferes. Avram Avinu didn't have that matzav, and neither did Yitzchak. There was a birur, there had to be birurim. So where there's chesed, there's ra. So something new. Where there's chesed, there's ra. Because like Rav Shmuel says, that's where the tikkun begins. Not because, but that's where the tikkun begins. Not because. In other words, the Kadosh Baruch Hu to make it that way because that's where the tikkun begins. The reason the tikkun begins there is because that's where you have to be masakin by Avraham Avinu. That was one type of a ra. Esav was a worse type of a ra than Shmuel. Shmuel was a tzaddik seklos. So, but he had also Yud Beis Nisim. So there's so there's a bearer from Avraham to Yitzchak, from Yitzchak to Yaakov. There's a bearer.
What is the ra in Avraham? Not the outcome.
The chesed. What's the chesed? I mean, Avraham Avinu is letting over the Avodah Zarah into his house. If you're a universalist, you have to tolerate a lot of ra. Tolerate ra. Yeah, there's no ra in Avraham Avinu. Chas v'shalom, that's not my point. My point is that there's ra around Avraham Avinu. It has to be surrounded by ra because Avraham Avinu is kulei chesed. So the only things we know, everything we know about Avraham Avinu is that he's always surrounded by ra. He's walking into Nimrod's furnace. He's either doing the holiest thing in the world. He does it. He walks into the house. Nidma like Avodah Zarah. In his mind, they were Avodah Zarah. Even Malachim were Avodah Zarah. This is what it's all about. It's all about this environment of Ra, which I have to be masaking. And it's not pashut that they're always, the Avos are always sending everybody back to the base Besuel and the base Lavan to where the Ra is. That's where the tikkun takes place.
So
the Canaanim is cursed, but Ra, it'll be Masakin, Lavan, and Masakin. You know, I keep saying that, like you're standing at the chuppah the other night, just like hit me like, Hayi At Alfei Revava, like quoting Lavan like he's the Satmar Rebbe or something.
Is this a different types now on in Lavan Garati? Meaning I can fix Lavan, I can fix you too? That's
right. Lavan Garati v'Tari. I did the tikkun. Tari mitzvah shemarti. That is the touch. Is there another touch?
That's a new
Pashut Shat. Lavan Garati v'Tari mitzvah shemarti.
So what's being introduced at Bria that is the tikkun that has, like, where's the ra? It's obviously more subtle because it's such a high level. It's not, you don't have love and living in Bria. So what's the negative part that it could be called ra?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me answer you. As a parallel, you won't understand the answer. So
maybe I'll understand the question.
Let me just explain something here. And this is what Reb Tzadok means here. That every just trust me on this. Yeah, every sphere gets its koach from the sphere before. You do it. So, what's the sphere of Erev Shabbos? Go for it. Yisod. What's the sphere of Shabbos? Malchus. Malchus of Shabbos. Everything we've been learning. The sphere of Malchus is where we're making the tikkun. Malchus is the tikkun, right? Taking as Tzemach David Avdocha Meres Atzmiach. Atzmiach Yeshua, putting the seed in the ground. That's Malchus. When the seed's in the ground, it's Malchus. Ein Melech B'loi Am. Malchusa Da'ara to Malchusa D'Rekia. Everything is about Malchus in this world. Yesod is Erev Shabbos. So what's Thursday? Hod. Hod is Thursday. Like the Elav HaChamishi. The Elav HaChamishi is a fascinating Elav. The Elav HaChamishi, we're in the Elav HaShishi. So, like, we already have all the stuff. We already went shopping.
We missed it already.
Yeah, we missed this, Baruch Hashem, in a way. But the Elav HaChamishi is called, in the Zohar, this is an interesting Zohar in Parshas Noach, it's called Yom HaHei, Heyday. So, Heyday, Yom HaHei, the 5th day of the Bria, Thursday, gives all of his energy to Yom Havav, which is Yesod. And from there, in other words, this is what Hoid is actually where the Tov and the Ra switches. Hod means beauty. Hod means where you can, Hod is the place actually where you can switch the Ra to Tov. You know, the Zohar says there, a famous Zohar in Parshas Noach, it says that Noach was 600 years old. So Noach makes the Zohar makes a cheshbon that everything works in 60s. It's a famous Zohar. So it says that there's going to come a time, the Elef, in the 600th year of the 6th Elef. The 600th year of the 6th Elef, says the Zohar, that's when Hoid, it's the Zman of Hoid, if you work out we could make a chart and work it out, but that's the Zman of Hod, where there's Tov and the Ra, which is extremely strong, and it becomes the ability of the human to make the decision whether you're going to take this Hoid and bring it down to Yesod, or it's going to go traveling somewhere else. The 600th year of the 6th Elef is 1840 exactly. Now it's 5,773. So the 600th year of the 6th Elef is exactly 1840. It's exactly the year of the Industrial Revolution. Mayanas HaChachma, says the Zohar. Locomotive. It's hafel that the Mevidim say that, you know, from all the way from the 3500, you know, for the year, from the Jewish year of 3500, for the last 1,000 years, like no big deal, what was invented already. You know, and then like it's like wow, like 1840, like the world got together and everything started from there. You know, the mathematical, what's it called, the mathematical system that was the basis for all of computer technology was
Binary code.
Not the binary, but even before the Boolean. It was, I mean, clear, the Industrial Revolution. Why was it a revolution? Because nothing else happened earlier. It was pretty boring. So that was an exciting time. Machinery and things started being invented, and people started thinking in terms. So there was Mayanas HaChachma or Niftach, and the Zohar says it's a Zman of Hoid. It's a Zman of Hoid where this should be used either for Yesod and Malchus and will bring Mashiach, or it'll be used for Ra and bring Holocausts. It's hafel that, you know, like the most effective poison gas that was ever created in history is Zyklon B, which was used to kill horses, which was invented by actually a relative of mine, Fritz Haber, invented to kill horses that were in pain, and it was used to kill Jews. This was all at the same time. You know, from 1840, as the Zohar says, from 1840 to 1940. There's a maya of invention of things that can do tremendous tikkun or tremendous chorban. You know, it's just crazy. Look at the illnesses that were cured, and look at the destruction that took place. Millions and millions of people. I mean, Hitler, Ymach Shemoy V'Zichro, was bad, and Stalin was worse. It's like top of the belt. So this is all the Zman of Hoid. So what's so beautiful about it? Because that's the Zman of the Ra is allowed to exist up until Hoid. Because it's close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Or HaMakif gives Rishus to the Ra to live. Where there's Chesed, there's Ra. And where there's Ra, there's an ability for an unbelievable amount of Tov. So to be Mesakein, Ezehu Givor, HaKoivesh is Yitzray. Like the last thing you do is shoot the Yetzer in the head. Kovesh is Yitzray. This is that Vartar. The Koivesh is Yitzray means you're taking the Ra and you're being Mahapichet L'Tov.
Mashchei L'Beit Medrash.
Mashchei L'Beit Medrash. So Yotzer Or Uvarei Choshech Oseh Shalom Borei Ra. So this is if we had a chart in front of us, we would have the world of Bria together with the world of Hoid in its second emanation. And hence you have the Ra. So, by the way, it's all about, some say a Yesod here, it's all about Haficha. Like if you understand the way the world works, it's all about Haficha. It's like, take for instance, Balak and Bilam. So Bilam had a koach to, he found the Eis Zoham Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at it like a blind spot. Sort of a blind spot. Here's a place where I can curse the Jewish people. Found a makom. Only Bilam, like the big Navi, was like it had been a huge makubal to know how to curse. And Balak goes and hires Bilam. You're the only one who knows how to do this kind of a thing. And it was only then, by the way, it was only then because that was the Eis Ra. Says the Zohar, you know what Zman this was? This was a Zman of Hoid also. Because it comes that's what the Zohar says. It goes in cycles of 60. So if you work out of the years, and it's also a Zman of Hoid, and it's also a Zman of Ra, and Bilam thought, I'm quoting the Zohar, I'm not saying my own Torah over here, there's the Zohar, HaKadosh, in Parshas Balak, that Bilam, not just like the Gemara says, Yodea das Elyon, but das, Yodea das, the das was in Hoid. It's a Zohar Gevaldik that in the first chapter of Eicha, who reads Eicha knows it by heart. In the first chapter of Eicha, V'haya Hayom Daveh. It's the last pasuk. In Aleph, Hayom Daveh means it was a worrisome, horrible day. So that's Daveh. You turn around the letters as Hoid. Worrisome, Hod, Tov, and Ra working together because Ra is not Ra. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? What was the Ness? The Ness is he was Mahapech as Hara L'Toiv. It's not that he blocked. It's not that he blocked Bilam's eye. Just blocked. Like he has an eye in Hara, blocked, intercepted. That's not what happened. What happened was that every place that this was what was frustrating Balak so much that every place that he was trying to curse is turning into a bracha. It was coming out of his path. It was like Balkarcha Omer Amen. He had no prayer but to bless the Klal Yisrael. How does it come? How does it come that from Ra comes bracha? Echseh. But the pshat is that the Ra is close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's like Avraham Avinu. Nefesh asher asa b'charan. That from in Mitchilo Oivdei Avodah Zarah, the Zman of Avraham Avinu was the Zman of Terach. That from the Ra has to come the bracha. Does that answer your question? So from the Ra has to come. The Ra is, you see, the Baal HaTanya says in Perek Chavav, Baal HaTanya says that the Ra is closer, the Choshech is closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than the Or because it's deeper. He quotes a different Zohar and he calls it the Olam Diskasya. Choshech is Iskasya, it's covered. You don't know what's going on in
nothingness.
In Choshech. It's worse than nothing. You don't know what you're going to bump into because it's dark. It's dark. It's scary when it's dark because you're not in control. You don't know what's happening. You can't make good decisions in the dark, right? I mean, like can you imagine like going to getting a root canal during a blackout? You need a lot of light to be able to see the pratim. So there's, but in Hashem's world, the Olam Diskasya is closer. Because Vayera Vayivoker, it's closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because the Chesed is bigger there. You're closer to the Or HaMakif, you're closer to the Or Hashem, and when you're closer to the Or Hashem, so yes, it can tolerate the Ra, but look what can happen with that Ra. You can be Mahapech, the Ra L'Toiv. So was Bilam a bad time or was it a good time? Yodea das Elyon. It's a dangerous time. Olam Diskasya is a dangerous time, Is it a good time or a bad time? It's a great time. If not for that time, we would not have a Matoivu Elecha Yaakov. Mishkanoi Secha Yisrael. Not only that, he even predicted the Mashiach. Bilam is the first place in the Chumash where the Gemara says, there is the Mashiach, Minat Torah. Why? Because the whole idea of Geula and Mashiach is to be Mahapech, the Ra L'Tov. It's not about, am I clear here? It's not about Tov. It's about being Mahapech Ra L'Tov. Makam Shabale Tshuva, Oim Demein Sadikim Gemur Michel Lamiksham. One is a Tov and one's a Mahapech Ra L'Tov. Hipuch Ra L'Tov is a higher thing because it's in the world of Hoid. Hoid, turn it around, Yoim Daveh. Al Zeh Hayad Daveh Libin. The Hod of Daveh. So Hod has in it, and Hod is, by the way, I did research on Spheros. I wrote a book on the Spheros. The Hod is probably from all the Spheros the most difficult one to understand and very difficult to get any information of. Yes, I walked around asking everybody who looked like they knew what's Hod. I'm telling you, I asked everybody. Aaron HaKohen was Hod. Kohanim are Hod. Why? Well, what does a Kohen do? What do they do? They bring in Kappa, taking an Aveira and turning it into something, a korban. Reach Nechoyach, Yishel Hashem. And he's good. It's a tikkun. It's a tikkun. The whole Aaron has to be Hod, not because he looked beautiful when he dressed, but it was big day Hod. It was all big day tikkun. What was he taking? He was taking things that were used in the gold and things. The whole Mishkan was a tikkun for the Egel Hazav. Take the same stuff and use it to build a Dira LaHashem B'Tachtonim. So Hod is a great place, but it's a very, very mysterious place.
And that corresponds with Bria?
And that corresponds with Bria. So Hod is in Bria. That's the way it works, you see, because you only have Arba Elamos, and you have 10 spheres, so you have to divide them that way. But that's why I divide them, not to, this is just a Metzias. Huh?
How does it correspond to Bria?
Bria is dark. So what we're saying is, said before that the Heidei gives energy into the Vav. The Vav is the Malkum of Tikkun. So the Vav, the Elef HaShishi, which we're in, is about taking all of the Dvarim HaMsukanim and using them L'Kavod Shabbos. So that's what the Elef HaShishi is. And continues the development of Ra to Tov is Yesod. That's what Yesod is. Until you can plant it into Malchus. Though if you trace these years, Lefi HaZayar, you understand what was taking place, what the Gedolim, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, understood what was really happening in the Zman of the Chorban and the Pirud. These were all times where Rabbi Kiva looked at it and said, yeah, but Koman David Rahman al-Latava, this could also be a Zman of huge tikkun. It's always a Zman of Ra, which is a Zman of tikkun, or it's always, to put it in vernacular, it's always a time of, it's always a problem that can create a opportunity. Because without the problems, then what are you going to fix? What are you going to create? If there's no Averas, you wouldn't have any Bali Tshuva.
Silver lining.
Yeah, that's the Tachlis. Is that Tachlis? If we would be born perfect, so then there would be no, we would be robotic. So we should really find our own chesronos and take pleasure in them. It's our job. But
when the Mashiach has to come through the automatic way, right, meaning later, so then is that flipping over taking place then, or is it too late for that because the heart is already...
I think the difference is whether we're Masakin or whether it's Masukin Me'elov. Eventually things will be Masukin Me'elov, but that could be a very painful procedure. So if we're Masakin, so it's the same thing. If we make Shabbos early, so we're doing the tikkun. If we don't make Shabbos early, just like the siren, listen, there's the siren. So the tikkun is coming for us, and that's a much more desperate. Don't you feel much more in control if you would make Shabbos 5 minutes early?
I'm thinking more of the
You
people who aren't from people like in the world of the whole Baal Tshuva, the not Makarv yet. When Mashiach comes, are they Makarved by automatic?
No, they're gone. They're gone, Jews, Gentiles, they're gone. Zman Tikkun is over. You know, the Chavetz Chaim used to speak about Mashiach. He used to get very nervous. Everybody gets all excited when they speak about Mashiach. And nervous. He says, "I'm looking for where I'm going to hide." The Chavetz Chaim said, when Mashiach comes. So they thought he meant from the Milchemes Gog Magog. He said, "No, that's from the Geula. The Zman of Tikkun is over." The Chavetz Chaim says, my whole life is about Tikkun. My whole life is about Tikkun. He was desperate for the fact we're all wanting Mashiach. He was one. He had a suitcase by his door saying, "I'm ready to go to Eretz Yisrael." On the one hand, and that's for the cloud. It's a good thing. But the Zman of Tikkun is over. I have so much more to be Masakin. So that's the thing to do on Erev Shabbos is to be Masakin and Masakin and Masakin. So let's just do another line or two further. It's a complicated concept here, Rabbi. The idea of the juxtaposition of Tov and Ra is a complicated idea, but I think it's easy enough to understand how without Ra you can't have Tikkun. You can have Tov without Ra, but you can't have Tikkun. This is probably like what it means when we talk about, in the case of Baal Tshuva, real Baal Tshuva, so Zdarnes Nasik Eschuyos. It brings Mashiach Mamash. The Zdarnes Nasik Eschuyos means that you did exactly what you're supposed to do. Ma'avaya. Why shouldn't the Zdarnes Nasik Eschuyos? You did exactly what you're supposed to do. You took the Chayshach and you turned it into Or. Now, if a person has a Chasarn and is Masakin it, Adrab. Not only is it okay, we'll forget about the okay, that's tshuva miyura, but a person really does tshuva. You do exactly what you're supposed to do in this world. So what's the problem? So it's exactly the right tone. It's exactly the right fix. There's no nasnasik asuyas. So this is all the Erev Shabbos work. Al kol panim gam habriya de Erev Shabbos kula hachana v'tayreach l'tzarech haShabbos v'gam l'mayla bel yonim kein boilam ha'atzilos v'anafashais she'em misham yesh hergish or de Shabbos gam be'erev Shabbos v'tzarech l'briyas adam shiuchel lahasig ayidei zeh b'koyach lishmasa el yoina she'mei atzilos l'isor. Let's finish the idea here. U'misham u'lamata, and from, let's call it hoy, from there down, Sheyesh haschala l'metzia shirish ra, that's where the shirish ra is. Hu ganus, that's where it's ganus, that's where the araganus is. Hu ganus v'nelam v'yefsher l'isgalos elo b'Shabbos. So all of the ra, which is really type, and this is what it means, the things that we look back at in history, or for that matter, back in the panorama of our own lives, which we thought was ra, at the end of the story, which is Shabbos, you can look at it and say that wasn't so ra, that was pretty tight. Now it's easy to do if if you're trying to figure out why you have a hangnail. It's more difficult to do if you're trying to figure out why there was a Holocaust. So don't even bother because it's not Shabbos. It's okay for, as I said on Shabbos, it's Yaakov Avinu tried, but Nistim Umimenu escaped. So he couldn't touch it either, the Yom HaShabbos, the Geula. Nistim Umimenu Mayana Sachach. He himself was, I can tell you all about Adjavai Shiloh, Yikoy Samim, I can tell you about Mashiach, I can tell you about what every one of these of my sons is how it's going to actualize in the Bria, and I can tell you what Naphtali is going to be, and what Gad is going to be, and what Dan's going to be, and what Yehuda is going to be, and I can tell you about David, but I can't tell you about the Geula itself. Why? I am Le'rasa L'Him Zulasecha. He thought he could. His nevuah was so big at that time. He thought he could be Megalados, but he couldn't be Megalados because I'll tell you what I think is the hard part of being Megala, not because it's like so whimsical and so, beyond our comprehension or even imagination to understand, but how do you turn the Ra into Tov? That's the party. How can I explain today in advance all the Ra that's happened in this world? How can you explain it? You can't explain it. You have to wait till the time of Tov to come. Okay.